Elijah has been in the Kerith ravine near a brook with ravens bringing him food. But then the brook dries up, and God tells him to go to Zarephath in Phoenicia. This is most of 100 miles away, and cars are not around, so Elijah has got to walk. To give you an idea of how far this is, it would be like walking from Newcastle all the way to Oxford or Bristol or the Lake District. It would have taken him quite a while. Not only was it a long way, it probably seemed a bit of a strange place for God to tell him to go, as the people in Zarephath didn't worship God but Baal, and Elijah was hiding from Ahab and Jezebel at the time, who also worshipped Baal. But Elijah did as God said and set off. Again God spoke to Elijah. Go to Zarephath, he said. It was a surprising command. Zarephath was a city in Sidon, beyond Israel, where the people had always worshipped Baal. But Elijah obeyed. You shall see a poor woman there, a widow, gathering sticks, God told him. I have told her to give you whatever food you need. Sure enough, when Elijah came through the gates of the city, he saw the woman bending low and gathering sticks. He called to her, and she looked up, astonished at the tall, wild stranger standing before her. Please bring me a little water to drink, he asked, and fetch me some bread. Oh, sir, she answered, by the name of the living God who you worship, I have no bread, only a handful of flour and a little oil in a jug. This is all I have left, because the terrible drought has ruined our harvest. Now I am gathering these sticks to make a fire and cook a last meal for my little boy and myself, before we die of hunger. Elijah looked down at her and said, Don't be afraid. First, bake a small cake for me, and then one for your son and yourself, because the Lord, the God of Israel, says, the jar of flour will not be used up, nor will the jug of oil run dry, until I bring rain upon the earth. So the woman ran to her home, and there she baked and cooked, and poured out flour and mixed in the oil, once, twice, many times. It was true. The flour never failed, the oil never ran dry. The God of Israel never failed in his promise. Day after day, the widow looked after Elijah, giving him an upper room to stay in. She fed him and herself and her little boy. It's not that long ago that we all had to stay in our own homes for a while, and you may remember your mum or dad finding it hard to get some things when they went shopping. There were two things that went on our shopping list every week: macaroni and bread flour, and it was a really exciting day when we found some. But even at that time, we didn't go hungry. Even if our favourite foods weren't easy to get, we could still get some food. Elijah was sent to meet a widow, and when she looked in her cupboards, they weren't just missing her favourite food. They had next to nothing in them. There'd been no rain for so long that food was really scarce, and all she had was a bit of flour and a bit of oil. The widow thinks that she and her son are going to have one more meal and then die because she has no food left. When Elijah asks her for a meal, he's asking her to give up everything. Not a little bit of what she has or anything left over, everything. And she says yes. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd have done the same thing as quickly as she did. I think if someone asked you to give up your lunch at school, you'd probably hesitate too, wouldn't you? Sometimes it can be hard to trust God, but just like Elijah trusted him to meet his need for food and water, we can trust him too. In Proverbs chapter 3, The Bible reminds us that we can always trust God. Trust the Lord your God with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding. Remember the Lord in everything you do, and He will give you success. Flour is a bit easier to get hold of again now, so why not have a go at making your own bread? And whilst you're making it, talk with your grown-up about the things that you find it hard to trust God with, or times when God has given you something you needed. And maybe you could look at Proverbs chapter 3 together, as this whole chapter has been written especially for children. Shall we pray? Lord, thank you that we can trust you. Please help us to do this, even when we don't understand what is happening. Give us hearts that are willing to share our faith, our belongings, and our food, and opportunities to do that this week. Amen.